Wing Chun, Yip Man.
Ip Man, with his amazing Wing Chun Kung Fu, defeated many martial arts masters. But even so, a foolish teen still doubted Ip Man's abilities. Ip Man blocked all his attacks. He dodged Lung's punch with an elbow strike. Lung kept provoking him. Ip Man's moves hit straight to their vital points but didn't hurt him. Lung charged again. Ip Man struck with a heavy punch. Lung didn't give up. Ip Man stepped on his leg, stopping his fist right at his cheek. Lung angrily grabbed his bag and left. Soon, Lung came over with his brothers to cause trouble. They kept provoking Ip Man. Ip Man stepped forward and used the asking hand. He launched a surprise attack. First, he kicked one guy, then he palmed another away. Finally, he grabbed the guy's neck and threw him to the ground. After seeing how awesome Ip Man was, all four of them wanted to become his pupils. After that, Lung kept bringing buddies to learn Wing Chun. Ip Man's martial club quickly became lively. One day, while Lung was putting up ads for the club, pupils of Hung Kyorn not only tore down the ads, but also kept mocking and taunting. Lung was very angry. The two of them were ready to duel. Lung kicked him away, then punched rapidly, and finally threw him to the ground. But the opponents didn't fight fairly. When they couldn't win one-on-one, they started to gang up. Ip Man rushed to rescue Lung. With just one shoulder hit, the guy flew away. Realizing they are no match, the bad guys grabbed weapons and charged. With a kick and an elbow, a guy fell down. Ip Man took down one with a punch. Lung kicked over obstacles to hinder bad guys. Facing fierce weapons, Ip Man changed tactics. He raised the board to block machetes, and carried Lung outside. Ip Man spun the board against the siege. Lung grabbed a guy's belt to help him deal with the attacks. Neither the machetes nor their wooden sticks could break through Ip Man's defense. But just relying on a wooden board wouldn't cut it. Ip Man decided to take away the machete. He flipped the board over and pulled out machetes. With weapons in hand, no one dared to approach. Ip Man freed Lung from the rope. Next, he was going to use Bar Cham Dao. He spun the blade, because he didn't want to hurt anyone. He just wanted to teach them a lesson. At the end of the first round, Jin Shansao came to help. Just then, the master of Hung Kyorn, Hung Jinan, walked over with his guys. Hung looked at his injured pupil, and warned Ip Man must accept anyone's challenge. Only by winning could he open the club and take pupils. Master Lore took the lead. He was good at Story Piguar Door, a combination of Monkey Fist and Piguar Quan. Lore started with a high flying kick, followed by a high side kick. Then he used Piguar Quan to attack Ip Man's upper body. Ip Man didn't hurt him, but Lore deliberately took a punch to create some distance. His monkey fist was agile, but he still got slapped. Lore was off balance, so he jumped and kicked twice in the air, followed by a low sweeping kick. Realizing he couldn't beat Ip Man, Lore deliberately fell with a downward kick. Seizing the moment, he aimed at Ip Man's balls, but Ip Man reacted swiftly, sending him flying. To save face, Lore said the desk was really slippery. The second challenger was Master Cheng. He was skilled in the 8 diagrams palm, characterized by the mud walking, which allowed for flexible movement and seizing opportunities to attack. Cheng directly targeted Ip Man's waist. Then he pressed forward step by step. Ip Man immediately fought back. He saw through Cheng's tactics, and began to block his path. Cheng had to rely on his palm method, but Ip Man easily blocked all. Cheng locked on with a scissor leg. Ip Man shook him off. Cheng stabilized with a dragon-like movement. He tried one last strike, but as expected, he was subdued by Ip Man. Cheng surrendered. After 2 matches, no one dared to underestimate Ip Man. No one else wanted to get beaten up. Next, Master Hung took the stage himself. Hung leaped onto the desk, and quickly launched a fierce attack. Hung used roars to boost strength and regulate breathing. Realizing Ip Man's formidable skills, Hung used their high-order skill, Fu Hok Sung Ying. Both of them were countering while attacking. Seeing Ip Man on the edge, Hung immediately jumped up and took him away. Then he launched 2 flying kicks. The two were evenly matched. So Ip Man used the Wing Chun classic move, Sun Punch. Hung directly countered his move head-on. He spun around and kicked out. Ip Man delivered a front kick. Both of them fell backward. The round table also broke in half. If the fight continued, there was a high chance Hung would lose, because he suffered from asthma. After gaining recognition, Ip Man was informed he had to pay a monthly membership fee. He thought it was Hung seeking personal profit and refused, But the next day, Hung's pupils went to cause trouble. Ip Man went to confront Hung. Hung said he had no choice. The so-called membership fee was to please the British. He also wanted to have another fight because the last match was undecided. Suddenly, he started fighting. Hung's son appeared. Fortunately, Ip Man picked him up in time, so Hung's attitude towards Ip Man improved a lot. Hung invited Ip Man to watch a martial arts performance. However, the boxing champion, Twister, suddenly stepped onto the stage and knocked everyone down. He also kept mocking Chinese martial arts. Hung asked Twister to apologize. Twister said he could apologize, but only if he was defeated by Chinese martial arts. Not for anything else, but for the sake of pride. Hung stepped onto the ring. Twister wore gloves mainly to protect his own hands, not his opponents. The finger bones are the most fragile. Hung started with a deadly move. He dodged a straight punch, and then slammed into Twister's waist. Seizing an opening, he threw a double punch. Hung leaped into the air, then nimbly avoided the punches. Twister blocked a fatal strike. Hung delivered 2 elbow strikes, but was forced back by an uppercut. Hung's tiger claws were meant to distract, with a real aim to hit the abdomen. He kicked to create distance. They faced off head-on, but Twister's speed was clearly slower than Hung's. After dodging a kick, Twister landed a punch in Hung's face. Then he pressed his advantage. Hung tried to take him down, but Twister grabbed him and delivered a series of liver punches. Hung gathered strength for a throw. After taking a punch, he used the momentum to kick, preventing Twister from expanding his offensive advantage. Hung's breathing was clearly struggling. He was caught off guard by Twister and knocked down with a heavy punch. Ip Man wanted to throw in the white towel, but was stopped by Hung. Hung attempted a choke, but unexpectedly had an asthma attack. Twister quickly counterattacked. He had no martial ethics. While Hung would rather die than admit defeat, he defended the dignity of Chinese martial arts with his life. The next day, Twister held a press conference to publicly insult Chinese martial arts, calling it flashy but useless. To defend Chinese kung fu and to avenge Master Hung, Ip Man challenged Twister. Twister had way more muscle than Ip Man. He also reacted very quickly. A combo punch from almost knocked out Ip Man. Ip Man tried to grab his arm but got thrown away. Twister lost punching distance and grabbed him tight. Ip Man tried to trip him with his leg but got thrown again. He stood up but got a heavy punch. Since Twister only knew boxing, Ip Man started attacking his lower body to disrupt his rhythm. Ip Man pulled apart his leg and kicked his jaw. He struck Twister's neck, but got punched back. Being constantly suppressed, Ip Man began to take control with his aggressive punches. Seizing an opening, he unleashed an uppercut, followed by a push kick. Twister kneeled down, but he executed a back suplex. Ip Man countered with a scissor kick, pressing down on his back. Twister easily broke free. When the bell rang, Twister still attacked, showing no martial virtue. Everyone thought the referees were discussing how to handle the situation, but instead, they prohibited Ip Man from using his legs. Ip Man wasn't used to this rule, so his rhythm was disrupted. Then he started hitting Twister's arms deadly points. Twister's arms were already going numb. Ip Man punched his head heavily, then jabbed his eyes, and finally shattered his eardrum. After a few punches, Twister's mouthguard fell out. Ip Man threw punches furiously, but in the end, he held back. Just as Ip Man believed, although people have different statuses in life, everybody's dignity is the same.